Well, I'll start out by saying everything in San Diego was awesome except the outcome of the game. I hope some of you that were there enjoyed it. It was just an incredible setting, and everything was good. After watching the film, we had a couple mistakes, a couple tough calls, a couple of poor decisions, and found a way to lose a game that I thought we could have won, and yet we lost to a very good team. I found out a lot about my team. We've got versatility. We can play different lineups. Our freshmen are going to get better. I don't have any worries about that. We got to stay out of the foolish foul trouble because we got enough of the regular. But in that game, there were 44 free throws, and that was a tough deal. But as far as heading out of there, felt like we played hard enough. Thought we rebounded pretty well until the last 5 minutes of the game when we were so small, and that hurt us there. I thought the passion of our players, the aggressiveness, was all good. So heading into now, the next tough challenge against Kentucky brings on some new things. I think this is the best Kentucky team I've seen. And I say that because, as I told Cal, they're almost illegal. They got 4 seniors. He's never had 4 seniors that I can remember ever. And 4 good seniors. One's a fifth-year guy. The Reeves kid from Illinois State is leading them in scoring, a prolific shooter. Frederick, the kid who came over from Iowa, so we know him, and then sat out a year with injuries, is even a better shooter. Toppin is a kid that has been there now for a while. Athletic, long. He's a very good, very, very good player. And Wheeler, the point guard, is a kid who can run a team. He's kind of a Mateen Cleaves. He really runs their team well, and he guards his butt off. So those 4 seniors, along with the 2 McDonald All-Americans, Livingston and the other kid I said, another guard they've got Wallace. And Wallace has started a lot now for him. But the biggest problem for us is we know who they're going to play. Wheeler came back last game. He'll play. He played 27 minutes coming back. He missed a week or 2. But Oscar, who I'm 99% sure is playing, but hasn't played an exhibition game or any of the preseason games. So we had to go back from last year, look at film. I'm sure he's changed some over the summer. So it's a little bit of the unknown. And Reeves and Fredrickson, 2 shooters, are averaging 37 points between them. And as we know, this team is the best rebounding team in the world. So a lot more. They got a lot of depth. They have huge inside with length. And yet, it's another game for us that we'll kind of learn a lot about our team. I do like most of the things that happened to us as far as what we did. That our guard play was better than getting Jaden back is going to still be a big key. Getting him and Pierre to rebound a little better is going to be big for us, especially in this game. Thought AJ played very well, and Malik. And we're back inside. I think that'll help Joey a little bit if we stay out of foul trouble. Questions?
Tom, just wondering how you manage this turnaround. Obviously, it's not often you guys go all the way out there for one game, come all the way back, and then play quickly. I mean, as far as managing their sleep and everything and making sure they're ready, how have you kind of done that?
Yeah, we let them sleep in on Saturday and kind of had a walkthrough film session Saturday afternoon. Sunday we went in the morning, then again at night. And that was really good. I thought we had real good. Today will be a regular practice, and then we'll go down. So, harder on the coaches at this point than it is the players because, we worked all night. They slept on the phone We worked all morning, they slept in. It's a little harder on my staff than it is on them right now, especially this early in the season. So I don't see any after effects or any problems with that as far as this early in the season. As we go later on, could rear its ugly head, but right now, we're excited, ready to go.
You kind of touched on it a little bit. Obviously, Marty had a big game on the boards and was aggressive, but the gang rebounding that you guys were presenting in that game, how much do you need that this year in particular, and particularly with this stretch of games?
Well, it's hard with Jaden because, he's just coming off of 9 weeks off. But Jaden is one of my better rebounding guards, and he's only got 1 in the 2 games. Pierre's got the body to be a great rebounder, and he's got 1 in 2 games. So that right now is a point of emphasis in today's practice. That's part of the gang. AJ's rebounded pretty well, and our bigs have done a decent job, and I can't believe I left Marty out of there. I really didn't leave him out, but you really enjoy when a kid works his tail off, pays his dues, goes through the process, and then has some success. Now the issue will be, can he duplicate that? Can he come back and have another game, figure out how to stay out of a little bit of foul trouble? But I think gang rebounding is going to be the key to our season. We're going to have to be able to defend and gang rebound and maybe do a little better job offensively. But we were limited. It was a funny game because the day before, some of you that were there, it was a lot windier on Thursday than it was even on Friday, and it was more windy on Friday than it was the last time we played. So we tried to change a game plan in the middle of the night and say we're going to go inside more, we're going to do this. Even the last couple plays, what you can run. So I was pleased by everything except we had one bad stretch. We had a different lineup in there during that stretch with Joey and we had 2 or 3 guys out at that point, Marty, and it hurt us. But in general, I think there was a lot more positives than negatives.
You mentioned Marty. How much do you think that game going up against Drew Timme was a good tune-up for what's to come in Kentucky's big man?
Well, the difference is, as I told my staff, and then I told my team a little bit, but more my staff, the biggest difference is we're going to go from a team who is, runs a lot of stuff and does a lot of things and completely goes into their center in Gonzaga. And now we're going to go into one that is athletic as maybe any team will play, with a great point guard and but wings that can shoot and length. And they, where I'll say Oscar Sheboy, I guess it is, but I'll say Oscar is he gets a lot of his points. He averaged 6.2 offensive rebounds a game last year. I mean, that's unbelievable. And because of that, he scores a lot of his points that way. So they don't go to him like Gonzaga went to him. At least they haven't. Now maybe they will this year because he's been in the program a little longer. We just haven't been able to see that because he hasn't played.
Tom, in the arc of a season and a career for Jackson Kohler to get humbled early like that and to see what's sort of real, I'm wondering how beneficial it is in terms of having his attention on what life can be and sort of where you go from him now that he's seen it.
Well, we're definitely going to have to play all 3 of our bigs because we're going to have to bring him in there a little bit more. And as I probably poorly told Jack, there was a reason why Carson didn't play. But at the same time, this game has a lot more length and a lot more girth than the last one we played. And so it is great for Jackson. He's going to see what it's like to play against those kind of people. And, it wasn't like we felt he was a fish out of water. There were some things that we felt too. Timmy's very good at how he posts up, how he, kind of posts up, I'll just say, that, can help Carson learn in one way, but help figure out how you have to defend in the other. I mean, Jackson. One thing about Jackson, he's a smart kid, and we need to get him the ball a little bit more too, to help us make up for what his strengths are and what his weaknesses are. But the last 2.5 weeks, we've been really excited about his progress. He's running the floor better. He's doing some things better. It's just so hard to judge. We went back and looked at everybody from Draymond to Xavier to Costello, and those guys played seconds in games early, and because we need him, it's unfair to judge him, because I can only judge him on the practices. I can't judge him against arguably the best center in college basketball. And what I've seen in practice and what he's done, we're really excited about him, seriously, really excited. So he's had a lot better last couple of weeks, and it's going to be interesting to see how we all handle, because nobody else has handled Oscar very well. That's why you average 17 points and almost 16 rebounds. And yet we're going to look at some things that we think we can do, try to take advantage of some things that he doesn't do as well.
Tom, I'm assuming with Jaden still obviously slowly kind of coming back, with that game and the environment and all that, did he play about as much as you wanted? And with this quicker turnaround, is it still yet another step up, see how he kind of reacts?
Well, it was a big problem. I think if there was a negative, he sat 9 minutes in the second half, and partially because, to start the second half, would I have rather have gotten him in there a little bit more? I would have, but we also looked at things that happened the day before. Was the court going to be a little slippery? Was this and that? It was very hard to go into that game thinking we were going to work on a lot of our three-point shooting stuff. And also with him, I'm still thinking of the big picture. I do feel now he's full ready to go, and he's got to get in more, but he's got to do a little more too. It's not just about shooting. He's got to defend, but he's got to rebound the ball. I mean, we got to have him and Pierre rebounding the basketball, and I think you'll see a lot more Jaden in this game. He's come out of the week. That was the week, the first game and the second game, the week. How's he going to come out? The aircraft and the court, all those things. Looking at the big picture, would I've liked to gotten him in a little earlier in the second half? Probably. Was he ready for that after 9 weeks off? Probably not. But he'll play more tomorrow, I promise.
It's a kind of a two-parter, so bear with me here.
All right,
the Hondo point. I wanted to touch on, you brought up that lineup that you had at the end of the first half with the 4 point guards out there. I guess, what did you see from that in that little stretch where you had, I think it was Tyson, AJ, Jaden, and Holloman out there? And then the second part of it is, what did you guys as a staff learn about the substitution patterns, letting guys stay in, and how to kind of manage this type of a game with the roster you have right now?
Well, we're going to be learning as we go too, but some of it depends on who you're playing. I mean, there were a lot of fouls called in that game, and so it had to be managed. Not many teams just absolutely throw it in to a guy who has those kind of post moves where he's gangling, he draws fouls. He's very good at it. I don't think you can go with 4 little guards in there on many occasions. You're going to have a little bit of opportunity when you can do that. But I was just pleased that, in my mind, AJ played a lot more under control and better. He had a couple turnovers, but I thought he played very well within himself and made his free throws, which was a big deal. I thought that Jaden, we couldn't expect much from him because we didn't know what it was going to be like going in. I mean, nobody's more frustrated than him. He wants to get it all back in one day, and that's not going to happen. You know, if you look at the NBA, they say you're out 9 weeks. It's probably going to take you 3-4 weeks to come back. We're trying to do it all in a week. And but he's a competitive kid, and I think you'll see even a different him this week. But listen, if you're going to try to predict where we are or who should be playing, good luck, because we know what our 7 guys are. We know that Carson Cooper is going to have to play some. We know that Trey is going to play some. But the 7-8 guys that are going to be in there most of the time right now are the 7-8 guys. We just hope that we get a little bit more. You know, it wouldn't have taken much more. A little more from Jaden, a little more from Joey, a little more from maybe even Tyson. I'd like to see him a little more aggressive in getting shots up. But, you know, that's what I like about this team. I do think we have versatility to play different ways. We can play Malik and Joey together and go small on the perimeter. We can, but you can't go too small. And against a team like this, you know, the missed shot over the year, last year has been their as good offense as anything. Their fast break is really good. As I said, I think this is his best team because I think he's had teams that didn't shoot it as well. He's got 2 guys that can knock shots down. He's got a bona fide point guard who runs the team, had 11 assists the last game. And he's got a bunch of inside guys that have length. You know, their problem is going to be how do you play them all together, how many balls, you know, the same problems that you always have. But John manages that about as good as anybody I know. And, you know, it just getting Oscar back and even Wheeler when we have like 3-4 tapes of them for their exhibition games and everything and can't use any of them, that's what's difficult for us right now. And, you know, we should put in, I'm 99% sure he'll play from all indications I've gotten, but it is different. How long will he play? What is he going to do? How are they playing with him now? How much has he improved from last year? Those are all things that we're going in not knowing, and that's a little discomforting, to be honest with you.
Tom, I've also got multiple parts. I apologize. First one is quick, though. Just, is Malik your only captain? I don't believe we've asked you about that. If I did, I missed it.
We really don't have captains right now. We're going to try to go game by game. So, I mean, Malik is our acting one, but we have not announced that. I'm looking at some different options and keeping some pressure on guys that being a captain's got to mean a little bit more than it has the last couple of years where you're captain by age and not by what you're doing. So, yeah, he's acting it right now, and but it will go by game and by practices and a little different.
Okay. I also wanted to ask you, in the 2.5 days or whatever it's been since out there, I'm just wondering what you've noticed in terms of body language and conversations with guys, in terms of balancing, of course, the disappointment. You almost had that game. You could have beat number 2, but also I imagine a lot of guys come out of there feeling pretty good about what this team could be. And what's the net of that? The disappointment on one hand, the optimism on the other.
You know, to be honest with you, we approached this summer with this schedule. We knew it from June when we got here. That's when we finally got the Villanova and the aircraft carrier. And we approached every day like we know we got a tough schedule. And I don't think we went in not thinking we could beat them. And I say that because we thought we matched up in every way but one with them. We did not think we matched up as good at center, and ironically, our center played pretty well. But it's still, in the end, you know, why did you lose? A million reasons, you know. But at the end, they're All-American, came through and made a couple big rebounds, and then they scored. And but that part, I don't think we looked at it as any moral thing. I mean, that was our game to lose, really, and we did. We felt like we played well enough to win that game. We probably for 30-some minutes. And so there was more disappointment than satisfaction. But at the same time, we also know the satisfaction is we played with a quality team, a very well-coached team, a good team, and now we're going to get almost the exact opposite. That was not a real athletic team, although their perimeter guys have some athletes. Now we're going to go against length and athleticism. There we went with some skill level, especially with their center and with Timmy, and pretty solid play. Now you're going to go with real solid play at the point. Their point was a new point. He'd been in the program, but first time starting, and I think the two shooters, Frederick and Reeves, make a difference on this team. And the reason I'm not putting pressure on John, why I think it's one of his best teams, is even when they won it all, they had a lot of freshmen. And now they have seniors that can lead the freshmen, and they don't have to rely on all the freshmen. And that's different for him, so give him credit. He's found a way, but he's had all those guys in the program, too. The only one that's new is Reeves. He's had them all there.
Tom, you said Gonzaga is All-American, played like an All-American. That was the difference in a one-play game. How often do All-Americans get All-American calls, whether it's yours or theirs, and do you almost have to prepare for that kind of officiating?
Yeah, I was disappointed. I told you that after the game. I just thought there was some things that were, in watching the film, but that's all part of the game. Officiating did not lose us the game, but there were some strange calls that put us in a bad position. But they won the game, so All-Americans going to get calls. I've had All-Americans that got calls, so probably All-Americans do get some calls.
Did you get an explanation on the one where it looked like your guy got concussed and just got clobbered and nothing?
Yeah, I guess it was all in the way that they saw it, from the angle they saw it on. Ironically, I was on a similar angle, but I did not, I don't call, and I'm one of those weirdo coaches that when the guys are doing 6 games a week, calling in 2 days later never seemed to turn me on. So I don't bother doing that. When I talked to him in the game, I could tell there was some question marks. That's why they went to the monitor and came back with, there was another one on Malik over on the side when you watch it on film and both hands are up. Does he touch him? He might have. And the explanation was, well, the guy dribbled out of bounds. And so he was kind of stuck. I either call the foul or I have to, And I said, well, giving the ball out of bounds is better than a foul, But again, there were some things I was not pleased with. But when you have a 12-point lead, you had a chance to win the game. And we didn't do the things that were needed to win the game. So that's our fault, not anybody else's, seriously.
You mentioned how the aircraft carrier game is a Michigan State thing. That's why you could not turn it down. How much do you feel like the Champions Classic is also a Michigan State thing, just because of you and the other 3 programs who have been a part of it for all this time?
Well, maybe Matt would know this, Mix wouldn't. Is this 13th year, 12, 14? So that's 12 or 13. So, I think we've got 3 more years. This is a privilege and an honor, and this was earned over a period of time. And I hope Michigan State fans appreciate that we are playing in this thing every year. And it is something I would never give up. I just think it's a night of college basketball that brings all these teams together, and they've kind of earned the right to be there over 100 years. We've earned the right to be there over 20. And with that being said, that's one of the things I appreciate and take pride in, to be honest with you, because it'll be a hell of a night of basketball. You're with some of the best programs that ever played the game, to be honest with you. And so I'm I'm excited about that opportunity. I really am, and I don't think it's a Michigan State thing as far as those other programs are even higher up as far as number of games they've won and what they've accomplished. But I think, we're not going to take a back seat to anybody in it either.
Hey, Coach. So earlier you said that the aircraft carrier game, you learned a lot about your team. What do you think is the most important takeaway coming from that game?
We competed, by far the most important. That first half, defensively, we were really, really, really good. Got a little less aggressive when we got in foul trouble. But I thought we competed, really well. We rebounded pretty well. We did the things we had to do, and even ran pretty well. But if I had to pick one word, we competed. If we compete like that, we'll win our share of games. And that's what I took out of that most.
Tom, you mentioned that there wasn't going to be a whole lot of time to learn stuff in practice and more on the fly. Now that you're in it, how do you see that playing out?
Well, we had a lot of meetings. We had a lot of film sessions with our guys, but there's just certain things you have to adjust to and adapt to. And, the flight back, we got back at 3:30, 4:30, probably back to the arena. And so it's, you got to manage what you think you can manage, and you got to get to know your team on who can take what and who can't take what as far as but this early, I thought our guys responded very well. Do I worry as it goes on? Maybe a little bit, another trip to the West Coast. But right now, I think we're as good as we can be going down there. I think we're fresh. I think today we'll have a sharp practice, but some of the things we did full court, maybe we do them half court. We're trying to save some things a little bit. And yet at the same time, it's when you play a team that's such a good rebounding team, it's hard not to be physical in practice and figure that, you got a guy in there 260, a guy in there 240, a guy 6'11", named Ghana, who might be the most surprising guy, number 33. He looks like Jabbar. He looks like him, but he's very athletic. He's got an incredible wingspan. He's someone we haven't even talked about. I think it's one of John's favorite players. So, we're going to have to be physical. We're going to have to cut out, and to do that, you got to do it in practice some, and yet there's that balancing act of whether you save them a little bit or not. I've always erred on the side of let's compete, figure out if we run out of gas, we run out of gas. Other people do it a different way. But if we compete like we did in this game, we'll be fine. And that's kind of what we're going to have to do, even at a better level. We have to do better. You brought it up, the gang rebounding. If Jaden and Pierre and maybe even AJ don't rebound, we're going to have enough work just to keep those other guys off the boards. Those three guards are going to have to rebound. If they get their share of rebounds, I like our chances better.
Coach, when it comes to going up against Coach Calipari, you guys have had some great matchups. It's fun for all of the fans to see you guys go against each other, but what's it like for you in a game against him to see some tendencies that he has and say, I remember that. Let me go ahead and game plan against him?
Yeah, we played against each other quite a bit. We're actually pretty good friends. We both are on the Vital All-Italian League, I guess. So and I'm on a couple boards with him, so I talk to him a lot. But we're also pretty honest with each other, so we kind of know some of the goods and bads, and I'm looking forward to it. There's no question he's always got one of the best teams in the country, and he's always got some of the most talented teams in the country. But I thought over the years, as I watch him, if you watch him on the bench, he coaches his superstars like you coach the guys at Northern Michigan, and I do respect that. I really do. I think he's tough on them and demanding of them, and they respond. So, yeah, there's things. He's changed up because sometimes he gets different kinds of talent. But the one thing that's always been good is he's always been better defensively than offensively, I think. I think this could be one of his better offensive teams because of the shooting he's got from those two shooters and the fact that he's got an anchor down there that is pretty big, and he's got a point guard that wants to get everybody the ball. And I think Wheeler probably doesn't get enough credit for what he does for a team. Like most point guards that are facilitators don't get enough credit. He's a phenomenal defender, and he gets into people, and he can spray the ball. So it's just another one of John's teams. They're all, similar in talent respect, but different because sometimes it's an inside, sometimes it's an outside. So I don't go in every year saying it's the same, but I say there are things that are the same. This year's team, he's got a lot of dribble, drive, and kicks, and he's got athletes to do it. I mean, he's got a lot of athletes to do it, so.
Only because you brought it up, and I hadn't really thought of it. Is this the first game that Dick's going to do for you guys since everything? And I guess
I
for
talked to
you
Dick
seeing him come
yesterday.
back for this.
I talked to Dick yesterday, and since he's had the bout with cancer and the surgery on his throat, his voice. I mean, talk about taking something away. Taking Dick's voice away has got to be the worst thing in America for Dick. But he sounded great. It is the first game he's doing in a while now. He's pretty excited about it. I'm excited to have him back. I mean, he's 83 years old and says he feels 23. I said, well, you look 93. So that part hasn't changed. But Dick is. I remember coming out of college and Dick starting on TV, and I remember watching some of his teams he coached. But he has done a lot for college basketball, not as much as he's done for cancer. And both those things are really near and dear to my heart. And so I've probably become closer with Dick over the years, back with Adrian and the things we went through there. It's been a labor of love for him, and the passion. I mean, he is a pain in your tail if you're on his call list for charity stuff. I mean, relentless. I mean, Mel will love the word. He is relentless. I mean, and yet in such a positive, good way. And I think people, you might get tired because Dick brings up so many things, but then when he's gone, you kind of miss him. The one thing that I know that I respect more than anything with any other guys, he has a tremendous passion for cancer, and he has a tremendous passion for college basketball. And those two things, he loves his granddaughters and the tennis, and now he's got some at Duke, and he's had them at Notre Dame, and I think his son-in-law was a pitcher. I mean, he's always been around sports, but his passion for college basketball, and I think he helped make college basketball. I felt like when we went with Nike, we were validated as a good program. Nike helped validate us. Dick Vitale helped validate college basketball. And his legacy will be overwhelmed by what he's done in cancer, if you ask me. But I do appreciate, as crazy as he gets sometimes, that his passion for the sport is off the charts. So it'll be good to see him. Got to warn my guys ahead of time that in the layup line, he might be talking to him and doing what Dick does. But I never look at anything he does as phony. And there's a lot of people I look at what they do as phony. That's probably the best compliment I can give. All right, guys, thanks.